All right, guys, thank you for joining us again. Sorry about the delay. We had some technical issues with one of our hosts. Actually, Mav is working on those right now, and he will be returning as soon as possible. As usual, I am Bishi, and joining me tonight is Jaliela.
Evening, folks.
And, of course, tonight's big thing is going to be E3 2016.
E3.
You saw it, you loved parts of it, you wanted to strangle some other people for things. So, let's just go ahead, get right down into the nitty-gritty and talk about what was what. Just to make things a little simplistic, we're going to talk about, kind of in order as far as when the press conferences and all that happened, like the major press conferences, and then we're going to go back through and talk about some other stuff that we didn't hit or that weren't featured at some of the major press conferences. So starting off, everyone's favorite company these days, note the heavy sarcasm, EA. EA, of course, did their whole usual thing. They had a couple of sports games that were shown. Everyone knows about Battlefield 1 coming out. Also, as a side note, if you guys want to jump in and talk about something or want to ask us about something, feel free to use the comments below. Or if you're watching on a computer, we do have the Q&A enabled, so you can actually type in questions. We'll see them, and we can answer them and let you know what we think or that sort of thing. But anyway, going ahead with EA, like I said, everyone knows about Battlefield 1. That's not really been a secret. We got to see some gameplay. Did you see any of it, Jaliela?
Battlefield 1, I've not seen any of the new stuff, mainly because, saw the earlier previous trailer that's from before E3, and I was like, I'll get to that later, so I've been watching the other stuff first. But
yeah, there wasn't really much of a difference to me. Like, it just showed, how things are going to look, and it visually it looks good. I have to say that this is definitely looking really good. But time will tell as far as gameplay and that sort of thing, exactly how this unfolds, and whether or not going back in time was a good idea for them, because like we've said before, Battlefield and Call of Duty have always been sort of fighting, and now Call of Duty is going into the future and Battlefield's going into the past. So we're going to see how this works for them.
I think it'll be an interesting turn there because, with them going backwards into past wars, you don't have to worry about newfangled technology, and I think we're going to see some big differences. Like with Call of Duty, they're constantly going towards the future, going deeper into the future. So they're always got cybernetic parts and jump packs built in and all that stuff. Well, that stuff doesn't make sense in a World War II game. So it's going to be an interesting way for them to have to figure out how to compete with that.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to be entertaining to see how that dichotomy plays out, and I guess, for lack of a better term, who comes out on top with that.
Yeah.
So, but it'll be entertaining to see nonetheless. One of the other things that they unveiled was Titanfall 2, which I was not expecting a Titanfall sequel so soon.
Titanfall was kind of an odd duck because of the way it was hyped, it was marketed. We thought, oh man, this is going to be like the shooter to revolutionize all shooters and kill anything that came before it. And then it kind of fell flat.
Yeah. I mean, it was... Go ahead.
Oh, well, that was pretty much it. That was it.
Yeah, but like you said, it was touted as this shooter to end all shooters. It's gonna slay all these other things. You're gonna love this. But it didn't really pick up the momentum. And I don't know how good of an idea it is to have a sequel so soon to something that, the hype train was going and it just met with a resounding meh.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they decided it was better to try to do something with it now to get back to win back the fans that they lost, rather than waiting too long and letting people forget about it. Maybe that's what they're thinking.
Maybe there's a possibility with that. Like I said, I'm reserving judgment as far as that goes, but I am going to say that what I did see was interesting. I'm going to it was also only like single player, so I don't know exactly how they're going to tweak things from the original Titanfall, but it should be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because wasn't the original Titanfall where like the tutorial was just barely existent, was all you had of single player, but then in order to get the meat and potatoes of the game, you had to go online and play with people? This is what I thought it was. I never got to play it for myself.
That sounds a bit more like Destiny. But
okay.
They could have had something like that in Titanfall as well. I don't know. All I know is a lot of people were just like, "Holy crap, we get to finally, play with mechs."
Yeah. Speaking of Destiny, that might be another one we might see next year. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, you never know. I don't know. Something tells me that Bungie's still stinging from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But go ahead.
I was gonna say that was another one that kind of had the hype,
and then just kind of lost the hype. And then to conflicted fans all over the world, we got to see Mass Effect Andromeda. And that is the exact reaction, because it's one of those, on one hand, Mass Effect. On the other hand, none of my choices mattered.
See, and from my understanding, this new one is supposed to be in the same universe, but in a distant galaxy and has no relation to the previous trilogy.
Which, I can see that working, but on the other hand, I can also see it falling flat.
I think they needed a new story, so they're trying to distance themselves from the original trilogy, but without distancing themselves too far. I probably would have just built a new universe.
I think their whole thing was, yeah, they did like the universe. They just wanted to get away from that story in particular, which, okay, I can't really blame them. The universe was good.
Yeah.
The universe, the world building, all of that was good. It was just like the last half of the third game that we don't talk about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so yeah, I think they're just trying to get away from that so they can try to build something different. Because, yeah, if Andromeda so much as mentioned stuff from the first trilogy, people are going to jump down throats. And they're going to call for blood, and it's going to be.
It's going to be dangerous. One of the other things that they unveiled was kind of an interesting game, FE or Fee, depending on who you talk to. It looks like an Ori and the Blind Forest kind of third-person puzzle adventure game.
Okay.
Which, if it does hold up to Ori and the Blind Forest, which I've seen playthroughs of, it is a gorgeous and magnificent game. So if it holds up to that, maybe there's maybe there's a market for that now. The market may have shifted.
Well, it takes a lot of flavors out there. It's a brand new world in gaming.
Yep. Um, but yeah, that was EA's, like, mostly stuff we already know. Some stuff we're like, okay, you put these out every year. Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, annual FIFA, annual Madden.
Yeah, they didn't show the annual NBA or NHL that they're gonna have, but they're gonna have it. They're gonna have the golf game.
Hmm.
You know, uh, okay, there were some Star Wars games, which one of them was an open world Star Wars game, which I thought was pretty cool. Then you have another Star Wars Battlefront coming out, which
Yeah. Is that like DLC to the existing one, the one that just recently came? We're talking about another game,
another.
just another Star Wars Battlefront game. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be coming out 2017
Mm.
from Dyson Motive, the studio's Dyson Motive. There's going to be another one coming out. The one from Visceral is an open world Star Wars game, and then there was another from the studio Respawn that I don't know what to think of it. There's really not a whole lot that you can find about it. They're kind of keeping it under some tight wraps there.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Time will tell, as they say.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was pretty much EA's conference. Later in that day, we had Bethesda,
Mm.
which
Yes.
going ahead and kicking off some stuff with Bethesda for games that have already been released. They're going to finish out the Fallout 4 DLC. Is it this year that they're finishing it out?
I think there's going to be 3 final DLCs, and I think it's going to be one in July, one in August, one in September to end it out.
Okay. So they're going to be doing DLC packs pretty, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, they're going to get them out the door so they can go and work on whatever's coming next.
Well, that kind of makes sense in a way. So I can't really blame them for that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they announced DLC for Fallout 4. They announced a DLC for Doom, which that's going to be interesting.
Oh, any ideas or tease of what it'll be?
I saw it, and then it was one of those things that just kind of went away. I don't actually remember as far as what it was.
Well, Doom is a hot ticket right now, so I don't blame them for trying to get some DLC on that and keep people shooting the baddies for a long while longer.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I can't really find anything on what it was, but
Okay.
there's we know that there's DLC for Doom coming out. Next up on Bethesda's list, they showed us a remaster of Skyrim for the next gen consoles,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks amazing.
Yes, it does. And then on top of the looks amazing is console players will finally get their hands on something that us PC folks have had for a while, mods. The Skyrim remaster will come with mod support on the console version, so they can finally start tweaking and tooling and doing around and coming up with whatever they want to do with Skyrim. And so that'll give them a chance to play with some things like that. Like I said again, PC already been doing it since 2011, but
yeah. So finally, you console. For those of you who have Skyrim on the console, you can actually, if you felt like it, make your dragons look like Macho Man Randy Savage, because why not?
I mean, why not? Make your magic spells look like, Goku's Kamehameha or something like that. It'll be nice, and it'll keep Elder Scrolls relevant for the time being.
Yeah, because at the same time you said, I believe we were talking before the show, and at the same time you said that they announced, or the guy that's in charge of that's in charge of Elder Scrolls or whatever, said that there's at least 2 major game projects to be coming out before the next Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, with no indication of what those projects are, so they're still probably pretty far down the pike themselves, which means Elder Scrolls 6 is even further down the pike. So it's probably several years from now before we'll see Elder Scrolls 6. We're probably talking it'll probably be a trailer at E3 2020 at best.
I would say there's probably going to be a trailer or something at E3 2018. Give a little something to whet the appetite.
Yeah, so.
But we probably won't see anything substantial until about 3-4 years down the road. And then even then that's more likely than not just going to be more tech demos and stuff. So we probably won't see another game for probably another console generation or 2.
Yeah, and I'm expecting probably we're coming down to the end, or I guess we're kind of winding down on PlayStation 4, Xbox One. So you're probably thinking we won't see Elder Scrolls 6 until like late PlayStation 5, Xbox 2, maybe even early PlayStation 6. Is probably by the time we see, or whatever they call them by then.
Yeah, whatever they get called by that point.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, who knows? Sega might be back in the console market. God, please don't.
Were they even at E3 this year?
No, I didn't see anything.
I haven't heard any. Yeah, I don't even think they were there. God, man, how the mighty have fallen.
They knew not to show their faces after some of the Sonic games they've been making.
Yeah. I mean, it's a shame because there were so many old classic games that they could try to come back with. I mean, the Jet Set radio games, get the Sonic games done right. Maybe
what I would love to see? I would love to see an update, reboot, whatever you want to call it, for a new console of Power Stone.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, yeah, yes, a new Power Stone. A new Streets of Rage, a new Altered Beast.
Shining Force.
Yeah, Shining Force, that's what I was trying to think of. Was it Phantasy Star, also
Phantasy
a Sega?
Star, yeah.
I mean, goodness, even like a new Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine or something. I don't know.
Just throw it on Xbox Arcade. It'll make money.
I bet it would. If they made a new Mean Bean Machine, would probably make a little bit of money on Arcade. Throw it up there for like $5.
Yeah. But okay, speaking of harkening back, we're gonna get to that in a second. But one of the other things that was unveiled at Bethesda's was Dishonored 2. Now that's going to be fun. Like, I played through some of the first game. I didn't finish it. I need to actually go back and finish it. But it was a very, very good game. I loved all of the stealth elements behind it, and I'm glad to see that it's making a comeback.
It was a good game. I didn't play it myself, but watching playthroughs looked excellent.
Oh, yeah.
Especially like you said, with the stealth element, to where you're an assassin, but you don't have to kill.
Yeah.
So, yeah, apparently I read somewhere, you could make it all the way through the first Dishonored game without killing a single person. Even the final boss, you don't have to kill him.
Well, except for some story, things you actually do have to.
So okay. So maybe I
but
read that wrong.
You don't have to actually kill anyone else. There are a couple of spots where you do actually have to kill people.
Okay.
But other than those, you can actually coast through without anyone else.
Yeah, there's like a big karma system that works depending on how many people you kill. The characters react to you differently, changes your ending and all of that.
Not to mention, the more characters you kill, the harder the later levels are, because the more enemy presence there is.
Yeah, they beef up security because they know, oh, there's someone out here brutally murdering people. We need to tighten up security.
Yeah, I actually watched a playthrough of someone, like, in the first level, they were just killing whoever they could, and I'm sitting there going, by the last level, you're going to regret that. But anyway, like I said, hearkening back to some of the old stuff, and Jolly Yellow, I know one of these probably made your old, you know, mine and yours old gamers' hearts leap and do somersaults. There's a new Quake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will probably end up with that on my computer.
Yeah.
Not even playing around. I will probably end up on my computer because, oh man. See, the only one I ever really played was Quake 3, and then of course from there it was the different mods that were out for, specifically Urban Terror. So the Urban Terror mod of Quake 3, good lord.
But yeah, the number of hours that both of us have spent on Quake.
So much.
Yeah.
Gosh, I can't even think of the last time I played a Quake game.
But no, that came out of left field for me. Like, I saw the logo and I was just like,
oh shit! Oh shit! That's that boy.
I'm not gonna lie. I saw that logo and I just was like, I was happy as hell to see that. I was not expecting that. I thought Quake as a franchise was pretty much done because no one had heard from it for ages. And then here it is again, risen from the ashes.
And you kind of notice that those older shooters, the ones that kind of pioneered the game, are now starting to come back, and it's kind of like, all right, Call of Duty, watch yourself, Battlefield. Make way. Doom. We had some new Wolfenstein last year, and now Quake is sitting in the back talking about, all right, guys, I'm coming.
I got this.
Chill the fuck out, guys. I got this.
Something tells me next year we're going to see another Unreal tournament.
You know, I can mess with that. I can mess with a new one.
I would be quite happy to see that. But also, speaking of stuff that came out of left field and threw me for a loop, Bethesda announced another Prey. Which, I don't know if you're familiar with the series, Jelliella?
Not very much. I messed around with, I think it was, what, the first one, I believe. I never, didn't even finish it, and didn't mess around with any of the others that came after it.
Yeah, it's an action heavy, but it also has some elements of stealth involved because there's, you know, a bunch of aliens and you're trying to not, you know, get your face gnawed off by them.
I know.
And, you know, we had Prey 2 on, like, last gen. You know, and it actually sold well, it did well, and then nothing. We didn't hear anything for a while. And it's just one of those.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Guys, this was a good series. What are we doing? And now it comes back, and I'm just like,
yeah,
that's what we're doing. Okay.
That'll be a nice touch. We get that back. So yeah, I'm starting to see a lot of the old shooters making their way back into the arena and just be like, all right, guys, the pioneers are back. So hopefully we'll get Quake, and I think it's going to be called Quake Champions or something like that. Is
yes.
what it's called?
Yes, yeah. Quake Champions.
Quake Champions. Yeah, looking at a trailer on my other screen right now. It's like, wow.
Yeah. Oh yes. Oh yes. So, it is definitely.
It looks nice, yeah.
So, all right. So, and then, like I said, we'll get back to some of the other games. Like, we're just going to do like a big PC roundup at the end, if that's fine with you.
Works.
We had Microsoft's press conference next up. they talked about the Xbox One S and Project Scorpio, which apparently is going to be their new console. Project Scorpio is.
Okay, so
Huh?
Scorpio is going to be the next gen system, I guess we'll call that the Xbox 2. So,
Yeah, the next gen one.
okay.
But no, I saw the thing for the Xbox One S, and there were a couple of things that bugged me about it.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, it's smaller than the one is, by 40%. It now has a power supply inside. You no longer need the brick.
Yeah, it's not a brick, which apparently this is the first time Xbox has gone back to that design since the original Xbox, apparently.
Yeah. I don't really know what I think about that, because my initial reaction is, okay, you're making it a lot smaller with all that power and a 2 terabyte hard drive and all of that, and you're sticking a power supply in there.
Mm.
I'm sensing overheating issues in your imminent future.
Yeah. And considering that even with the brick on the 360, overheating was an issue.
Overheating issues.
Yeah. So it's going to be some trial and error.
Yeah, I'm really skeptical about how well that's going to work, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, that's why I personally don't rush out and buy hardware on the first go around anymore.
Yeah, no, I give it at least a year or so.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as games, they were showing. They really didn't. Okay, I take that back. They did show some games that we hadn't really seen much of or any of before. Of course, they had Gears of War 4, which everyone has been hyped about since they heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I can't say I really blame them, because it looks pretty as all hell.
Yeah, well, because the Halo Wars 2 is apparently going to be a thing. I think that was their RTS. It's a Halo. Basically, it's a Halo. It's Warcraft with Halo characters, basically. It's an RTS with Halo characters. First one didn't do too well, so I'm kind of surprised that they actually went for a second one. Maybe someone must have really believed in it, or maybe this is just okay, we need a Halo to tide them over.
Either way,
because
we did we got some good looks at Tekken 7, which that looks like it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, saw a little bit of that. I haven't seen all the whatever was released on. I've seen a little bit, and looks good.
Yes, it does. Yeah. So sleek looking. Forza Horizons 3.
God, those games get so realistic every time.
Yeah, ooh.
It's like if they keep going on those Forza games, this shit's just gonna look like you're watching TV after a while.
Yeah, pretty much. And I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing Killer Instinct Season 3.
Oh yeah, about that. They're apparently with Season 3, they are adding a character from Gears of War to the lineup. A guy by the name of General. He's like one of the alien or whatever, one of the bad guys. He's like General Rag or General Rage or something like that. One of the bad guys in Gears of War. He's gonna be a new character coming up, and the trailer showed him he just appears out of nowhere, attacks Jago, and just brutally murders Jago.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, sure.
Because he don't care.
All right, because fuck Jago.
A couple of things actually, a couple of things that Microsoft showed were actually
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can get behind this. Scalebound looked actually really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did see some Scalebound. So
Uh, I'm looking at it and I'm trying to think because I know that name from somewhere.
what name?
The director of Scalebound,
I don't.
Hideki Kamiya.
Name doesn't ring a bell off the top of my head.
Oh, right.
Oh, what did he do?
He was the director of Devil May Cry.
There you go. Now he's
So,
doing Pretty Dragons and epic Shadow of the Colossus like battles.
yeah.
Because that thing was like, I mean, the main guy is, I guess, is the character in the trailer. He's already like flying around on like a 10, 15-foot tall dragon, and then there's like 4 or 5 of them fighting something that's even larger.
Yeah, he was also the director for Beautiful Joe, Okami. You know, so we know that, you know, he's gonna there's gonna be some this is going to be a very he did story and director for Bayonetta, so we know this is going to be a beautiful game.
I was gonna say, if nothing else, the game's gonna look great.
Yeah. So, you know, I've got some hopes on that one. I'm actually I'm hesitantly optimistic about Rare's newest venture, Sea of Thieves.
I was actually just watching the trailer to that this morning, and it feels pretty optimistic, but I am hopeful.
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
and I don't know if that's just, you know, because both of us have had a long history with games and we know what Rare was and we know what Rare can do and we know how Microsoft has fucked Rare over in the past like 10 years.
yeah.
And, you know, we're hoping just for the sake of the name Rare that this is a good game.
Yeah. So, and I'm hopeful for it. I mean, you get to play a pirate, you get to form up crews on a ship and actually do pirate ship battles. Apparently, there are going to be kraken-like monsters in the water that you're going to have to fight if you come across. There's going to be quests to find buried treasure. So, I don't know. It sounds like it might be ramping itself up to be like a pirate MMO, and there have been a couple of those in the past that really haven't done too well. So,
Yeah.
maybe they just needed someone, with a good legacy in gaming behind them to really put one out there and do something with it. But, kind of wait on that because, things are still very early in that game. Like, they're not even sure how large the crew size is going to be. So, they're still really early in development.
Yeah. So, like I said, we're hopeful and we're optimistic at the same time because we want this to be good.
Mm-hmm. It would be fun.
Let's see. A Dead Rising 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, saw the trailer for that. Apparently, Frank West is coming back.
Yeah, it looks like a reimagining sort of thing of the first one.
Oh, is it? So it's not like Frank West survived and now he's still dealing with the outbreak. Okay.
I'm not sure. Like, it's like I know that we have Frank West back. I've heard differing things as to whether or not this is like sort of a reimagining or like a direct sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Some places are saying it's a sequel, some are saying it's like a reimagining, so I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
I do know that the gameplay looks amazing.
Yeah, and I think that it already has a Christmas holiday release date. So, the trailer is up there, and it's got Christmas music playing, and he's like, using Christmas related stuff to fight with. So I don't know if that means the game is going to take place around Christmas, or did they just kind of cook that up because it's a Christmas time release? Not sure about that.
Frankly, I would love to see like different, like if you start a game at a specific time of the year, and you have different, you know, sort of environmental stuff to use. Like around Christmas, it would be like Christmas lights, decorations, that sort of thing. Just different stuff around different times of year. That would be cool to see. And, you start a game, say, in December, but you keep the same stuff through December, that you would have, even if you pick it up later in July, if you start that game.
I got you. So yeah, that would be a bad touch to it, but hopefully the story will come out on that sooner rather than later, since it's supposed to be actually releasing later this year.
Yeah. We had news of State of Decay 2. So
that one actually does not ring a bell. I'll have to go back and look that one up.
Let's see. I know that. Well, I know. What was it? It was basically like a zombie survival thing, and you're working with other players or working solo to kind of survive.
Okay.
So it's interesting to see how that's going to play out, because it's kind of like DayZ in a way.
Yeah,
but
Steam.
No. So I don't know. Everything's now like zombies everywhere.
Yeah, Steam is flooded with zombie survival games. So
yeah,
kind of like it's flooded with horror games.
Yeah.
I mean, the formula. One like AAA title or mainstream title does really well in that genre, so then all the indies crowd into that genre trying to make a buck off of that success. So.
Yep. Because that's how that sort of thing goes. The next conference that we had, unless we wanted to talk about something else, Microsoft.
No, pretty good. Oh, okay. One last thing. Just want to be glad that, unlike last year where they seemed to be focusing on media this and media that, they kind of remembered they were there for video games. So good for them.
Yeah. Oh, I do like the new thing that they have where you can actually like design and build your own, personalized Xbox One controller. Like you can make it all sorts of different colors, all this sort of thing. It's actually really cool.
Okay.
So, no more complaining in a household about, that's my controller. So that's kind of a cool thing. Next up, we had Ubisoft. And as much as people give Ubisoft hell, they actually had a pretty decent showing this year. You had your usual, Just Dance. They had another. They announced some DLC for The Division, which that's going to be good. The new Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Wow. Yeah.
One thing that I saw that I've my little geek heart was just so happy about was the whole Star Trek bridge crew thing.
No, what was that?
It's actually like VR. I think it's going to be through the HTC Vive.
Okay.
And you're actually running the bridge of the starship.
That does sound interesting. Speaking of Ubisoft, I know another South Park game is coming along.
Yes. Well, I mean, Stick of Truth had such great sales and reviews. It was bound to happen.
Yeah, because I mean, even if you don't like the South Park brand, Stick of Truth actually has some pretty solid RPG elements to it. It's actually a good game. But I know with the next one, I think it's going to be called The Fractured But Whole Show or something to that effect. And they're kind of doing a parody of the comic book Civil War.
Yeah.
Where they're all getting together, they become superheroes, they plan out their way to become rich, an argument breaks out, and they end up splitting into two factions, and the two factions are now like fighting each other, trying to become rich in the superhero movie business. So,
yep.
Usual South Park hijinks ensue.
I don't know. There's just something that makes me happy to see a franchise as old as South Park sticking around and staying relevant.
Yeah, it is amazing because I remember, the first South Park game was on like the Nintendo 64.
Yeah, I remember playing that.
See, I never got to play it, but just and that's almost 20 years ago now.
Yeah.
Nintendo 64, and here we are 20 years later. TV show is still actively on the air, and they're still doing active, relevant games.
Yeah, who'd have thunk it?
Yeah.
One of the titles announced, I looked at, and I'm going, okay, I'm reserving judgment until this actually comes out.
I think I know what you're about to say.
Watch Dogs 2.
Watch Dogs 2.
For those of you who aren't familiar as to why I say that, I'm trying to remember when Watch Dogs was premiered at E3.
I want to say it was at E3 2014, or maybe even 13.
Let me see.
Because I think they kind of did something like with The Division, where The Division was actually at E3 2014 and E3 2015.
2012.
2012. Wow, I didn't realize it was that old.
Yeah, 2012. And when it showed at E3 2012, it looked gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
It looked absolutely fantastic. Then 2 years later, we get the game, and it looks nothing like what we were shown.
Yeah, and that was another one where the hype definitely fell short, or the game fell short of the hype.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people were really upset. They felt like they were lied to. This whole thing, and it was just, oof. There was a lot of backlash from that, which is why I'm
Yeah. That's understandable. I mean, Watch Dogs was very much considered to be a letdown. I mean, not even a bad game, just a letdown.
Yeah, like it was not a bad game. It was like overall it was a pretty decent game.
Mm-hmm.
It was just there was such a major disparity from what we were shown and what we were given that we don't know.
Right, like why?
Yeah. Let's see. They had one game that they showed called For Honor, which was a they showed in the single player campaign from the perspective of a Viking. It looks like it's going to be Vikings, knights, and samurai in large scale fights.
Okay. Because I've seen a couple of still images here and there, but I haven't sat down and watched the trailer for it. Yeah, that's one. That's like, I'll get back to that later.
Yeah, it looks really good, and apparently they've put a lot into the combat system, because one of the things that they talked about was timing and reading your opponent was very important. It's not button mashing. One slip up could mean you're done.
Mm-hmm. So I'm actually sitting here looking at a trailer of it right now, and it kind of has a Dynasty Warriors look to it, where it's like you and your army is raiding the enemy castle. You're controlling one guy, but you got your army all around you, of course. And I guess it's probably going to be some, take out their commander to decrease their morale. And yeah, I am seeing here like the combat. It's not just run in there and mash X until they fall down. It's like actual almost fighting game mechanics. Wrist timing. You got to time your strikes. You got to block. You got to parry. Hit when they miss or something like that.
Yeah, it's not. Like you said, it has that large scale feel like Dynasty Warriors, but it does not have the button mashing that Dynasty Warriors was.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's face it, with Dynasty Warriors, every single character had some particular combo that if you memorized and just sat there and entered it ad nauseum, you would plow through the game.
Yeah, you just spam that one combo over and over again.
Yeah.
Like spam it.
Yeah. So I'm actually really interested to see where this is heading. So, now we get to, was there anything else in Ubisoft that you wanted to hit?
No. I think Ubisoft all around a good show. I'm surprised they didn't throw together another Assassin's Creed, but oh well.
I think they learned their lesson.
Right. But they are working on an Assassin's Creed movie, so maybe that'll figure that out. So
I'm wanting to say that I'm hopeful that they learn their lesson to stop just pushing them out constantly.
Yeah.
So hopefully, maybe we'll see one next year.
Yeah. Every other year is okay, folks. You don't have to have something every single year just because.
Yeah.
Well, we can wait.
We're patient.
Yeah.
Just trust me. I'm still waiting on a next-gen F-Zero. I'm patient.
All right. How long are we waiting for Cyberpunk 2077? Which I'm surprised was, they didn't mention anything. Give us a trailer or something.
They're still working on Witcher stuff, man.
Well, no, because I thought the last DLC that just came out, Blood and Wine, my understanding is supposed to be the end of Witcher 3 support, or Witcher 3 content, I'll say that. So hopefully now they can go and work on Cyberpunk.
Yeah, they were still working on Witcher, and like they said with the original trailer, available when it's ready.
They were not playing.
No. They are not playing whatsoever with that. They're telling you to sit down, shut up, eat your food, and be happy.
All right, so we will wait. The waiting game. No.
Now we come to what everyone says was the big hitter of E3.
And apparently Sony was not playing around this week.
So Sony walked up to the podium, took out the earrings, took off the shoes, took off the jewelry.
Don't forget to put your hair in the scrunchie. Yeah.
Put the hair up.
And
handed the rest to a friend. and just went to town.
Yeah, they just did work. I mean, yeah, they've hit very hard. A lot of people are saying that they won E3. Personally, I don't buy into that whole who won E3 nonsense, but
E3 is all a hype train. The winner of E3 is who has the best sales of these games when they come out.
That's my opinion, but most of these people now are just like, whose hype train is moving the fastest by the time you come out of E3? But, you know.
I've been burned by too many hype trains to actually get on the hype train.
Exactly, you know.
Too many of the hype trains that I decided to jump onto ended up on fire, derailed into an orphanage. So I'm not dealing with that.
Yeah. So for all those people out there that are trying to say that Sony won E3, I don't care who won E3. Show me Sony's sales numbers next year, and then we'll talk about who won.
Then again, there's a lot of stuff that they could have just amazing sales on.
Yeah.
To begin, of course, we're going to go ahead and knock out, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare and Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered. Everyone knew that was coming. I'm pretty sure a lot of people knew that there was, going to be a Lego Star Wars on The Force Awakens. We knew that was going to happen. Those Lego games make a killing, too.
Yeah, they do.
Then we get into some of the stuff that we didn't quite expect.
Yeah.
First and foremost, God of War. Where it looks like Kratos is going to be taking on Norse gods now.
That is going to be awesome.
Because Kratos didn't have enough with his own pantheon. He's got to go fuck with other pantheons now.
Right. He beat the Greeks out, so now he got to go take on the Norse ones. Yeah, and I don't know if they're going to go for another trilogy or they're going to train. I think there's too much in Norse mythology to try and wrap it all up in a single game. So hopefully they'll go for another trilogy, because I'm like, dude, what is Thor going to look like? That's all I want to know. What does Thor look like, and when are you going to fight him?
Ooh, no. I'm not waiting to see Thor. I mean, while looking to see what Thor is going to look like is going to be interesting, there's one in particular I'm waiting on.
Ooh.
I'm looking to see what Odin looks like.
Oh, we're not ready for Odin. We're not old enough to see Odin yet.
I don't think Kratos' body is ready for Odin.
I mean,
just saying,
However, when one of the notches on your whoop-ass belt is Zeus, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, you can put that on your resume. I whoop Zeus's ass.
But that's gonna happen, and Odin's gonna see that and just go, "That's cute."
That's true, but but Zeus said the same thing when he saw the end of God of War 1, and he saw that what he did to Ares. Zeus was like, "Shh, ain't worried about it," and we saw how that ended.
True, but still, I mean, I'm waiting to see that. I'm waiting to see what Odin and Thor look like, specifically Odin, because that's going to be just.
Yeah, they'll look nice.
Yeah.
Oh, God. And yeah, that trailer was nice. Apparently, he's got a son again. I think it was a son in the first trilogy. Or was it a daughter? I don't remember. He has a child. It was a son in the first trilogy. Okay, so he has another young son, and they're out on a hunting trip together, and he's like teaching his son how to hunt with a bow and everything like that. So some actually really touching moments there, even though he's supposed to be teaching his son how to hunt, and it's kind of like you have to focus, you have to pay attention to the deer. Your deer's getting away, and then at the end, he's kind of at that point where he hits the deer with a bow. And now he has to give that killing blow, and Kratos kind of has to walk him through that. That was surprisingly touching, considering when you think Kratos, what comes to your mind.
Yeah. So that's gonna be. Whew.
Mm-hmm.
Whew.
Yeah.
So let's see. We got to see, you know, some footage for The Last Guardian, which
Last Guardian.
you know they talked about it a little bit last year. You know, talking about, you know, they were, you know, this guy was heading up development, and it was, you know, it was going to be coming out sometime in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And then we finally get to see more of it. It's one of those things of, I'm good with that.
Oh, don't tell me I'm about to have some difficulties here. Continue on, BC. I'll be right back in just a second.
Yeah, you're good. So for those that don't know, Last Guardian is actually from the same team that made Ico and Shadow of the Colossus. And for those that haven't played either of those, you need to go do it, because those are some absolutely magnificent and gorgeous games, and it is absolutely fantastic as far as the scenery and the story and everything else. So, but you know, we originally for Last Guardian saw a trailer at E3 09, and you know, they were hinting that it would keep coming, and it kept getting pushed back. So this is something that we are wanting so much, because this is just kept getting pushed back, and finally it looks like we're going to see it, and it looks absolutely stunning. I'm actually not even mad that we waited this long for it. It just, I'm gonna, it's gonna be good. I hope it's gonna be good. It looks good, but you know, with the series, you know, from, like I said, with the same series creators from Ico and Shadows of the Colossus, you can't help but it looking good, because those two games were a feast for the eyes. I don't know if you've played either one of them, Jelly Yellow.
I played Shadow of the Colossus a little bit, but I didn't get to finish it. But you know, I know the reputation it has.
It was a feast for the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, I think people are pleasantly surprised to see that bouncing back up again. Like you said, you know, for a while there, a lot of people pronounced that dead.
It was pronounced dead quite a few times, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, and sorry, I have been neglecting checking the comments, Ephemeral. We're going through the sort of E3 press conferences as they happen. So we started with EA, we went through Bethesda, Microsoft, Ubisoft, and now we're on Sony. So I know you want to chime in on a couple of things here, so we're going to get to that. But, well, I mean, both you and I know there's a couple of games that she wanted to talk about.
Oh, I got some words from one of them that I'm pretty sure she's got something to say about.
Before we get into that, though, let's talk about some of the VR. Because they have, you know, a Batman Arkham VR game. They have a Battlefront VR X-Wing game. They have something dealing with Final Fantasy in VR. Sony is coming out with their own VR, and it is looking to just take the market by storm.
Did you say X-Wing VR?
Yes.
That's all I heard in that sentence was X-Wing VR.
Yes.
All I'm thinking of is headset on in a dogfight with TIE fighters. Maybe even doing the Death Star runs from episodes 4 and 6.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
You are sitting in the cockpit of an X-Wing fighter, and it's VR. So you can look around, and you see everything else going on around you.
Oh, man.
I'm pretty sure if you look back, you see your R2 unit sitting in the back of the X-Wing.
I normally don't pre-order stuff, but yeah, I'm gonna have to go buy one of those.
That's Now, one of the things that Ephemeral wanted to touch on, one of the things that Saya wanted to touch on, and kind of leading from the VR, RE7, Resident Evil 7, is apparently going to be in VR.
Yeah. And Resident Evil 7, though. Okay. Here's the thing. I understand pretty much with Resident Evils 4, 5, and 6, there have been some criticisms about how it's gotten away from its roots of, oh no, I'm trapped in a situation. I have to fight my way out, or the mutants and the zombies will kill me, turn me, or, you know, whatever. I'll die.
To be fair, Resident Evil 4 was closer to the originals than 5 and 6 were away.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so probably, yeah,
I
probably
would like a bit of a wedge there and put 4 kind of close to that wedge.
Okay, fair. I will say 5 and 6 were criticized as being so far away from the formula, and I do, on one hand, appreciate that Capcom seems to have heard the feedback, recognized that they were getting away from the formula, but with the trailer that they released, it's about 20-minute demo, and apparently, and even though I understand it's already been said apparently that what was seen in that demo won't actually be in the final product when it releases, but what has a lot of people worried, or at least has me worried, is that still kind of misses the mark on what the original Resident Evil was all about. To see, again, it's, to me, Resident Evil is, oh no, we're trapped, we got guns, we're either going to fight our way out of here or we're going to die fighting. With that trailer, it seems to be that Capcom may have taken more of the, okay, Outlast is successful, Amnesia's been successful, survival horror has, the last few major survival horror titles have been about your either no ability to fight back or a very limited ability to fight back, like Alien Isolation, very limited ability or no ability. And Capcom might have thought, okay, well, that's the direction we want to take it in. But I think people will worry that that's still going away. It's going back to war survival horror to get away from the Call of Duty quick time element, but it's still not going back towards what Resident Evil once was. And I think that's what people are saying. It's a lot more nuanced than just saying, oh, so I know some people are trying to quote the complainers about, oh, Resident Evil 5 and 6, that's not Resident Evil. And then, oh, bring new Resident Evil. Well, that's not Resident Evil either. Well, technically it's kind of not. By that trailer, it looks kind of like Outlast. I mean, that's kind of what I was feeling. Outlast or, Amnesia or...
Ephemeral Synthesis actually put in the comments, I'm trying to be nice considering Resi 7 showed just the tech demo with none of the original characters to be seen. But we were promised a return to original survival horror. We probably won't get that until the remake of RE2. And also said Resi 7 was basically a mix of Outlast and PT.
PT, yeah, that was the other one I was thinking of. And I think that's what has people a little concerned about that. Because, I mean, in that house, in my opinion, if that was a Resident Evil situation, you might not have the rocket launcher or the chain gun, but it would be like, pick up a chair, smash a zombie with it, and then you have some wooden sticks to stab, and then you might find a pistol, get some ammo, and then you might find a machine gun, get some ammo, and you actually can develop a fighting chance. I really hope this does not end with Resident Evil. You know, I don't want to see Chris having to hide behind a statue to get away from a creature. I don't want to see Jill have to run up the stairs or rush to get to an elevator before something catches her.
Although I will say, just for the record, fuck Chris. Anyway, fucking hate Chris.
But again, I understand it's a tech demo, and we're a long way from seeing what the final product is. But I'm a bit worried.
I see where the concern is coming from, but as a survival horror fan myself, going back with with the original Resident Evil, going back with Silent Hill, going back with Clock Tower, going back with all of these survival horror, Fatal Frame, that sort of thing. Some of the older stuff on like PS2 and earlier generations. I'm happy to see some of the roots finally being embraced again in a game that's not, some indie thing like Outlast, not discrediting Outlast in the slightest. Not saying that, indie games can't make good survival horror games, because they can. But, I'm happy to see a lot of the aspects, at least, being brought in. Now, whether or not, there's going to be, like you said, a way to fight back, or someone having to, hide to keep from being found by the monster, remains to be seen. I'm thinking that we're not going to see that. That's just me, kind of positing at the moment. I honestly don't know. I would love to see it to where it's not, something like Outlast where you have to hide in a locker, or Clock Tower where you have to hide in a cabinet or something like that. I would love to see where, there is a good deal of survival horror where you still can fight back, but I still want that whole, Outlast sort of feel, and some of the feel of the originals, where, you're walking along, you hear a noise, and you turn around and just, maybe accidentally fire off a couple of rounds just because you're twitchy as hell.
See, now that is something I can get along with. Like you see like a shadow move across the hallway, you accidentally fire at it, and then that shadow hears, if you fire at it, the shadow hears it, comes after you, and then you have to fight it or something. So
I would love to see something like that,
Yeah. And definitely no disrespect to the indie scene, because the indie scene largely kept the horror genre alive for the last couple of years. I mean, you talked about Five Nights at Freddy, Amnesia, Outlast, and all those.
I'm sorry, laughing at Ephemeral's comment. I especially don't want to see Chris punch a fucking boulder.
But can you imagine Chris like punching one of the animatronics from Five Nights at Freddy's? He doesn't even shoot it; he just punches it.
But okay, I think part of the reason that some of this is such a big like shock to the system is when we like here in the last few years, we have seen Resident Evil attached to stuff like Resident Evil 5, 6, Umbrella Chronicles, like the other Raccoon City game, and it's just one of those things of, okay, you've made it into a horror run and gun.
Yeah. So, again, it's very early to tell. I don't want to pass final judgment. I don't want to start a campaign and like tell Capcom to, change Resident Evil 7 to this, that, or the other. It's too soon. They've even said it's a tech demo. The stuff we're seeing now probably won't even be in the final game. So,
I do have to say though, that demo kept me on edge. So
it did. It was genuinely scary, kept people on edge. It just didn't feel like Resident Evil. If they had called that like Outlast 2, yeah, You know, I can imagine people pre-ordering it now.
Well, Outlast 2's already like got a demo.
Oh, sure.
Anyway, speaking of older games that are getting redone, we were all surprised by Crash Bandicoot.
Getting a remaster treatment.
That is going to be fantastic to see, because Crash Bandicoot. You know, what else? What else can you say about that?
Yeah. Paul's really. Yeah.
Let's see. I know, and we're just going to touch on some of the things that weren't actually in the conference, or not in the not in the presentations, but at the conference. Yakuza 0. That's looking good. The Mafia 3.
Mafia 3, yep, that is definitely looking good.
Mafia 3 is looking fantastic.
They've announced an October date on that, so there's a date in stone on it.
Yeah. Let's see. Speaking of older, like, you know, some older titles and whatnot that, you know, are coming back for PlayStation. We've not only seen, you know, some like Crash Bandicoot and all that, but we're seeing them still using some of their good IPs like Star Ocean, another Star Ocean game coming out.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, Star Ocean Integrity and Faithlessness.
Okay, I think that'll be what, Star Ocean 5, I think.
Star Ocean, we've lost fucking count.
Yeah, I know there's at least 4 of them. After that, I've lost count myself.
Yeah, I think there's somewhere around 7 of them. Let's see. A new Res is coming out for the PSVR. It's going to be in VR.
That'll be a trip.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't know what I think about that, but all I know is sitting there with that and trying to, it's going to be trippy taking that off and realizing, oh crap, right, I'm the real world now.
All right.
I was telling you, Jolliella, before the show, Psychonauts on a new Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin for the PSVR.
That game was trippy on a TV.
It's gonna be interesting to say the least. There's a new Dragon Warrior game coming out for Nintendo. You know, Nintendo really didn't have a presence this year.
Yeah, other than their DS stuff.
Yeah. Other than the DS stuff, which, you know, Pokemon. Well, except for the new Legend of Zelda. Which, I swear to God, someone took Zelda and put it in Shadow of the Colossus. That's what it looks like. I'm not mad at that either. But holy crap. You know, apparently you can actually make a mad dash run to Ganon at the beginning of the game.
That's going to be funny.
Yeah, just have Naked Link swinging a torch at Ganon. Let's see. So
there's going to be a new Yokai Watch 2 is being worked on. And from the little bit I saw of that, it looks like almost like they're taking a Pokemon direction where there's going to be 2 different games. And there's probably going to be some unique ghosts that's in one that you can't get in the other, and I'll encourage you to trade back and forth. There will be a new Mario Party for the DS. I think that's going to be called Star Rush. I believe that's going to be called Mario Party Star Rush for the 3DS.
Like I was telling Jolliella before the show, I will be happy with it if they take it back to the Mario Party roots of everyone actually move independently around the board instead of everyone in a vehicle. The last 2 Mario Parties where everyone's in a vehicle, I have not liked. So, you know, we'll see. There's a new Harvest Moon coming out for the 3DS. So, you know, a lot of good stuff, you know, on the horizon. Ukulele got an E3 trailer. You know, the spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie, which looks so beautiful. And I'm so happy that actually made it out of the Kickstarter phase and they got all the money they did.
Yeah, that is good. So hopefully we'll see that.
So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff that's going to be coming out here in the next little bit. So it's definitely worth watching the how things are going and seeing where things are headed, and keeping your eyes peeled for all that. But it is getting late, so I think we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. I'm sorry Mav couldn't make it. He's busy with computer issues. He's working on that. Hopefully he'll be able to join us later on and be able to actually stream. He tried last night. His microphone wasn't working. Same issues as tonight. But hopefully.
I think he's playing the new Doom over on the Twitch side, right?
Yeah, he's playing the new Doom over on Twitch. So, if you guys liked, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Check us out on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Omake Ikuze. You'll get all of our updates, news, that sort of thing from there. Whenever we go live here, whenever we go live on Twitch, that'll be posted there. If you have any sort of questions, comments, topics for future shows, anything like that, be sure to email us at omake.ikuze@gmail.com. Our Twitch channel is twitch.tv/omake_ikuze_games. Like we said, Mav was playing Doom there last night. Had a bit of a mic issue, but he should be able to get that squared away and set up here in the next little bit to where he can actually, have it working consistently. But again, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you again, Jolly Yellow, for joining me tonight. And
thank you as well.
Yeah, like I said, we got a lot of fun stuff to look forward to and a lot of awesome things on the horizon.
Oh, one last thing I did want to throw in there, forgot to mention it in the main show. Telltale Games, their Walking Dead video game, Season 3 will be coming down this fall, I believe.
Yes.
So want to get one last one in there.
Yes.
And keep an eye on our page.
Yes, we will put on our page all sorts of news, info, that sort of thing. So be sure to keep a watch on that. In the meantime, we are going to be back in 2 weeks. So let's see, that should be July 1st.
All right.
So check us out around then. And until then, guys, this has been Bishi. See you later.
Jolly Yellow. Good night.
Good night, guys.